Hey guys, welcome back. This is Frequently Asked Questions with Unrested in Japan, number 25. Okay, our first question. Can I study Japanese from a dictionary? Just using only a dictionary. Well, that depends. There's actually more than one type of dictionary to study Japanese from. There's dictionaries that just have romaji, or some people would call it furigana, or there's dictionaries that have kanji as well, and hiragana. And I would say if you're absolutely going to study from a dictionary, I would definitely use one that has kanji and hiragana, and it will also have the romaji as well if you're still becoming accustomed to hiragana and katakana and kanji. But the main thing is you need to learn the symbols as well, along with every word that you're learning in Japanese. At the same time though, please realize while you're learning words from a dictionary, that's not going to be perfectly set up for you to be able to use in a sentence. You're only going to get the dictionary form, and it's usually not going to be conjugated into the different forms that you would use in a sentence. So it might be a little confusing if you're just starting to learn. Personally, I would suggest you learn from books that are study books like Minna no Nihongo or Japanese for Busy People, something like that. If you have a problem with a word that you find in one of those books, then I would suggest referencing a dictionary. But to study straight from a dictionary might be a little bit rough if you're just starting out with studying Japanese. I've been getting a lot of questions. What's the weather like in Japan? That's kind of a very broad question. If most of you know the geography of Japan, it's actually laid out from the very top reaching close to Russia, and the bottom parts in scattered 5,000 islands that are part of Japan can reach almost down to the equator, giving it a tropical weather condition down there. So you're going to have places like Hokkaido that have loads of snow during the winter and even very, very temperate summers, to places like Okinawa where it's going to be a tropical climate that's very humid and hot all year long without 4 seasons. Now the area I live in, Osaka, has all 4 seasons. Right now we're in summer and it's very humid and hot, but during the winter it gets very, very cold. I would compare it to about North Carolina in America as far as how cold it gets. There is snow here. Your fall is really a great time, and so is spring. You've got very temperate temperatures then that are, in Fahrenheit, you'd say probably about 60 to 65. In Celsius, I'd say anywhere from 19. Really decent temperatures that feel great and allow you to wear just about any type of clothing. But I can't really give you an overall weather forecast for Japan. As I said, it stretches from close to Russia all the way down to close to the equator, with over 5,000 different islands that are part of Japan. So maybe Google the part you want to check out and check the weather there. To get around Japan, what should I use? Should I use a taxi? Should I use a bike? Or should I use a train? Well, I've talked about trains before. That's probably going to be my first suggestion. As I've said before, when you live in a big city in Japan, the trains are ultra reliable. One thing I have to say about Japan is that their trains are probably one of the best set systems in the entire world. Never late, always on time. The only time they're ever late is if there's some kind of accident on the tracks, which almost never happens. And by accident I mean someone jumps onto the tracks, as we do have a problem with here. There's many different train lines. They all connect at great spots. There's not a lot of waiting. Some trains you may only have to wait 2 to 4 minutes for the next train to come, so that's great. They're always reliable. You can look at any timesheet and they're going to follow through with that time down to the second almost. As for taking bikes and taxis, well, having a bike is great if you live close to your job or wherever you're trying to commute to. Using a bike is a great way to go. In Osaka, we ride on the sidewalks, which is a little bit strange because you're kind of fighting for room with pedestrians. In other cities like Tokyo, you're going to ride on the street, which I think is probably more intelligent, as, you know, you're a vehicle, you probably shouldn't be on the sidewalk. But that's Osaka, who knows. With using taxis, taxis are expensive in Japan. If you're working some kind of great job, you're in the IT business for some reason, maybe you can afford to take a taxi every day. But I would not suggest taking a taxi to many places because it can really get expensive. At nighttime, the trains usually shut down after midnight, and the prices of taxis raise up. The reason this is because the taxis actually all the taxi businesses have actually paid off the train systems to shut down so they can kind of, I guess, really get their share of money for transportation throughout the night, because that's when you have your people stumbling out of bars and clubs trying to get home and the trains have already shut down. So you can really get charged quite a bit to get home on taxis at night. So be careful with that. A lot of times the good thing to do is share a taxi with friends if you're trying to get somewhere. But really, I would only use them as a last resort, or a situation in which you cannot take the trains or do not have a bike or cannot make it home with any other means, because taxis can get very expensive. That's it for Frequently Asked Questions number 25. Okay, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you back here next time on 26. Have a good one till then.